Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Veldman. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the Prince Rupert Port Authority. I'd like to welcome all of you to Ridley Island and the last spike ceremony for the Port of Prince Rupert's Road Rail Utility Corridor project. First of all, I'd like to recognize that we are hosting this event on the traditional territory of the Tsimshian Nation. And I'd like to begin today by introducing our platform party. And what I'll do is I'll ask you to hold your applause to the end, and we can recognize them at that point. MP Andrew Saxton, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance for the Government of Canada. The Honourable Todd Stone, the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, Government of British Columbia. Mr. Alex Campbell, Hereditary Chief of the 9 Allied Tribes of Lax Kw'alaams and Metlakatla. Mayor Dave MacDonald, representing the District of Port Edward. Councillor Blair Moreau, representing the City of Prince Rupert. Mr. David Miller, Assistant Vice President of Government Affairs for CN. Mr. John Summers, the Vice President of Planning and Development for Campotex Limited. And Mr. Don Crucell, President and CEO of the Prince Rupert Port Authority. I'd also like to pass along regrets from the elected Chief Councillor Harold Layton of the Metlakatla Council, Mayor Gary Rees of the Lax Kw'alaams Council, and Mr. Clarence Innes, the elected Chief Councillor of the Kitkatla Council. So the Road Rail Utility Corridor provides Ridley Island with its foundational expansion infrastructure. The rail, the road, the power distribution system are common infrastructure that will be able to service the development sites that have been designated for future terminals on Ridley Island. As you may have noted on the coaches coming in, it's already being put into use. This platform is currently being used as a truck-to-rail transfer point for project cargo being transported to Western Canada through our new Ridley Island Project Cargo Offloading Facility. The RUC is a $97 million investment in Prince Rupert that has been made possible by a very important investment partnership from 5 parties. The Government of Canada, the Government of BC were responsible for investing $15 million each. CN invested $30 million. Campotex has invested $15 million. And the Prince Rupert Port Authority was responsible for the remaining $22 million on the project. The RUC provides Ridley Island with a common rail access and exit corridor. Each 8-kilometer rail loop has the ability to accommodate 450 cars, the ability to easily handle 2 modern unit trains. The completed project is actually the first phase of the RUC and includes 3 inbound rail lines and 2 outbound rail lines, in expectation of serving its first terminal, the Campotex Potash project, when it reaches a final investment decision. As future terminal projects are developed, the common right-of-way has the ability to be expanded to 14 inbound and 12 outbound tracks through its subsequent phases. In and of itself, it's an impressive engineering and construction project that's been worked on for the past 24 months. But in the bigger picture, it's a project that has major implications for the future of both Canada's trade, BC's gateway industry, and the sustainable development of our communities on the North Coast. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Chief Alex Campbell to say a few words of welcome. Chief Campbell.
Wai, Simgiget, Simgiget, Sigaramadana, Legakiget, Gabawaksik, Khani Gabatkul, at Koyaks, Lachliksta, Waliwalan. Noy Samoygit, Men Samoygit, Kismachlots, Nahwal de Yub, Waliwanam. How is question? Yeah. And some Sigwal Galek as news. Need him jabum. Thank you, Master Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, chiefs, matriarchs, and all those are from afar that's here on this beautiful day. I am a hereditary chief from my tribe, the Gishpachlach tribe, one of the 9 allied tribes of Metlakatla and Lax Kw'alaams. The land that we are on is the Gishpachlach territory. This land, Lalo Island and Watson Island, are Gishpachlach territory, of which I stand as a chief. I say to each and every one of you that's come to this place, and it's always been my speech to the people that comes from afar, welcome to the land of the Tsimshian Nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Campbell. I'd like to introduce Don Crucell, Prince Rupert Port Authority's President and CEO. Don?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of the Board of Directors and the 70-plus women and men that make up the staff of the Prince Rupert Port Authority, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to come here today and celebrate with us what I believe will be known as a very important and event in the history of the Port of Prince Rupert. In particular, I also like to thank the Platform Party and all of the community members from all the communities in and around Prince Rupert for being here today. However, more than I guess anyone else, I'd like to thank the women and men that who worked directly over the last 24 months on this project and had boots on the ground and made this project a reality and are responsible for the legacy that will be here for many years and decades to come. I'd also like to thank Chief Alex Campbell for that gracious welcome to the traditional territory of the Tsimshian Nation. The ongoing involvement of local First Nations is important to the ongoing growth and development of the Prince Rupert Gateway. I'd also like to recognize Jennifer Rice, MLA for North Coast, who is with us today. Welcome, Jennifer. So here we are, celebrating yet another milestone in the development of the Port of Prince Rupert, the completion of the Road Rail Utility Corridor, or the RRUC for short, and as it's known in our offices, the RUC. 10 years ago, the Road Rail Utility Corridor was nothing more than a concept. It was a drawing on the map. It was a red line or a red circle that many of us saw on PowerPoint slides. It was an idea on how we could open up the vast lands of Ridley Island and make them accessible and usable for the continued expansion and growth of Canadian trade flowing through the Prince Rupert Gateway. So today, we want to celebrate more than just the completion of construction of that idea and that concept. Today, we want to celebrate the RRUC's role in shaping the future of Canada and BC's trading relationship with the world. Canada is a trading nation and will continue to be a trading nation for the foreseeable future. Our economy and our remarkable quality of life depends on our ability to support exports and imports of goods. And because of that, our country needs strategic, sustainable, long-term trade infrastructure. Infrastructure like the Road Rail Utility Corridor. Most of you know that the port has a long-term development plan. That plan maximizes our potential to build the necessary trade infrastructure right here in Prince Rupert. By planning strategically and pragmatically following through on that plan step by step, we believe we are doing what it takes to make the Prince Rupert Gateway one of the most effective and efficient port gateways in the world. This plan and this infrastructure will help us avoid future use conflicts between terminals. It will ensure that growth today doesn't turn into congestion and inefficiency tomorrow. It will help us separate major industrial traffic from local communities and the residents of those communities. And it will ensure that the use of this Ridley Island area is maximized before we need to turn to other lands in the future to develop terminals here on the North Coast. The RRUC is going to be Ridley Island's backbone. It is the foundational piece of infrastructure that's going to allow the Port of Prince Rupert to grow and prosper for decades to come. The alignment we have with our partners, local First Nations, CN Rail, the Government of Canada, the Government of British Columbia, Canpotex, speaks to their ability to share in that same vision. Our shared investment in the RRUC speaks to their commitment to that vision, and most importantly, their confidence in the future of Prince Rupert and in the Port of Prince Rupert. And I want to take this opportunity to thank them individually and collectively for their vision and their support. There's a lot of investment in the future of Prince Rupert, and without that investment, that commitment, and that support, we would not be here today. Let me take a couple of moments to touch on a few other things we're celebrating here today. We want to celebrate the bright minds and talented individuals that took on the RRUC's engineering and design challenges. It was a complex project that demanded exacting specifications in a wildly variety of unpredictable geotechnical conditions and in close proximity to both a sensitive environment and working terminals right next door. These are the types of challenges that bring out the best and deserve our admiration. Also, we want to celebrate the environmental commitment and innovation that was included in this project. Exhibit A, I point to the artificial rock reefs. We should be just as proud of these artificial rock reefs that were built in Porpoise Harbor as we are of the rail loop that circles this island. These reefs are already inhabited with an abundance of marine life, mere months after their completion. It's a fantastic example of marine habitat compensation and how we can both improve our natural environment while at the same time expand and grow our economic environment. Most of all, as I mentioned earlier, we want to celebrate the women and men that moved rock, built road and track, installed pipe and drainage, and poured concrete. At peak construction, over 150 people were on this site right here building this project. And I'm very proud to say that it was local First Nation contractors that built this complex project on time and on budget. At nearly $75 million, the contract for this project was the largest contract of its kind in all of Canada to be awarded to First Nations construction companies. And, I have to say, the most successful. Congratulations to Prince Rupert Contractors Limited from the communities of Metlakatla and Lac Williams, and Coast Industrial Contractors Limited from Kitkatla for a job well done. The RRUC is an outstanding example in the growing list of projects that underline the port's alignment with local First Nations. It is an outstanding example of how the growth and stability that comes with a growing gateway can provide broad-based benefits to our local communities. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very proud day for all of us at the Port of Prince Rupert and for the community of Prince Rupert to once again be witness to this gateway's continued growth and prosperity. And again, on behalf of all of us at the Prince Rupert Port Authority, thank you for sharing your time with us and in celebrating the Road Rail Utility Corridor's last spike. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Please join me in welcoming Andrew Saxton, representing the Government of Canada, to the podium.
Thank you, Ken, and good afternoon, everyone. And what a great pleasure it is to be back in beautiful Prince Rupert. As we look out over the ocean at these beautiful islands here, I understand that there was a pod of porpoises that came through here just a short time ago, and it just reminds us how fortunate we are to live in such a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Now, today's event is very exciting because it's being called the driving of the last spike. And when I was in high school, I read a book called The Last Spike. I'm sure many of you read that same book. I never thought that I'd be part of a last spike experience. So this is very exciting to be here for the driving of the last spike. Minister Stone, Mayors MacDonald and Rees, Chief Councillors Innes, Chief Campbell, Councillor Morrow, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great day for the Port of Prince Rupert, as it celebrates the completion of the construction of the Ridley Island Road, Rail, and Utility Corridor project. And I am pleased to be here to mark this occasion and to represent the Government of Canada that provided up to $15 million to this project under the Asia-Pacific Gateway and Corridor Transportation Infrastructure Fund. The Road Utility Corridor is a key export facility on Canada's west coast. Thanks to its expansion, it now has a common user platform that will develop and increase the port's export capacity up to an estimated 100 million tons per year in the next decade. Given that Prince Rupert is the closest deep water port to the Asia-Pacific trading partners, this project will have direct and indirect economic benefits in Prince Rupert and for the wider Asia-Pacific export community, including my own home riding of North Vancouver, which is another export hub to Asia. It will provide road and rail access as well as utility services to some 1,000 acres of heavy industrial land that are now accessible through the port's deep sea terminals. As well, all of the activities at the port and the products that go through it will support growth and provide jobs here and around Prince Rupert and throughout Western Canada. The Government of Canada is focused on creating jobs, economic growth, and long-term prosperity. This project is one of many under the Asia-Pacific Gateway and Corridor Initiative, otherwise known as the APGCI, that delivers on this goal. I'll just call it the Gateway today. We have invested more than $1.4 billion in some 50 gateway projects, partnering with the 4 Western provinces, as well as with municipalities and the private sector to strengthen our competitive advantages and further position our country as the gateway of choice for global supply chains between Asia and North America. The Gateway Initiative is built on a strong partnership model, and this project is no exception. I would like to recognize and thank our partners, the province of British Columbia, CN Rail, Campotex, and the Prince Rupert Port Authority for taking part in this project. This kind of cooperation truly strengthens the Asia-Pacific Gateway and boosts Canada's competitive trade advantage in the world. So thank you all, and I wish this project great success. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, MP Saxton. Please join me in welcoming the Honourable Todd Stone to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of Premier Christy Clark and the Government of British Columbia. I live in and represent the city of Kamloops in the BC Legislature, and I was fortunate to not have to leave last night. I was able to leave this morning and have breakfast with my 3 little girls. My 8-year-old daughter, Sydney, said to me, "So, Dad, where are you going today?" And I said, "Oh, it's a beautiful place. It's called Prince Rupert." And she said, "Well, what's in Prince Rupert?" And I said, "Oh, it's got a little bit of everything. There's snow-capped mountains and ocean and islands and whales and eagles and fish and on it goes." She looked at me and she said, "Daddy, that sounds like paradise. Why don't we live there?" And on a day like today, I think she's nailed it. Now, it might have been taking event planning to a whole different level to arrange for porpoises and seals and other creatures to join us. But it is a true pleasure to be here today, and I certainly appreciate being on the stage with this group of dignitaries, and I certainly am honored to be here with chiefs and community leaders, and Jennifer Rice, who is a colleague of mine in the BC Legislature from North Coast as well. Jennifer, it's great that you're here as well. I'd like to also acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Tsimshian Nation. Would also like to recognize that today is the start of Aboriginal Awareness Week in Canada. Now, this is a week where we honor the history and the many Aboriginal cultures in Canada, including the Métis, the Inuit, and the First Nations. I'm pleased to be standing here with the representatives of the First Nations who were absolutely instrumental in seeing this project through to completion. I'm also pleased to be here today to join in the celebration of this visionary infrastructure project. The road, rail, utility corridor is of major significance to the Port of Prince Rupert, to the province of British Columbia, and indeed to our entire country. In September 2011, Premier Clark announced our government's commitment of $15 million to this project when she launched the BC Jobs Plan. Now, in cooperation with our partners, the Prince Rupert Port Authority, Canada, and CN Rail, we have collectively delivered on these commitments. Together, we have built the infrastructure needed to enable future development here on Ridley Island, which will contribute to the Port of Prince Rupert's continuing growth. Now, BC's ports, including the Port of Prince Rupert, are extremely busy. It's great to see the success of this port in attracting such a range of both import and export products, creating balance for the ups and downs of the global economy. With the new wood pellet facility in operation, Canadian grain moving through to global markets, and the expanding container terminal, this port right here in Prince Rupert is supporting the provincial economy and indeed that of all of Canada. As part of BC on the Move, our new 10-year transportation plan, which I launched about a month ago, the province will be implementing a comprehensive package of transportation investments and strategic policy actions over the next 10 years. Here in the Northwest, the expansion of this port, combined with the industrial development activity in the area, including liquefied natural gas and other industries, has led to increased, all of this has led to increased truck and rail traffic. This growth highlights the need for continued investment in transportation infrastructure priorities, through which the province will continue to support the realization of the Port of Prince Rupert's full potential. We will be upgrading bridges and improving rail and road efficiency to make sure the Northwest transportation system is ready for the economic opportunities ahead. In the next 3 years, we will start working on 7 new passing lanes on Highway 16 and 37. We will be making improvements at the intersection of Sandy Avenue and Keith Avenue on Highway 16 in Terrace starting this summer. And we have a wide array of resurfacing projects planned in this region, including 23 kilometers of Highway 16. BC on the Move recognizes BC as Canada's Pacific Gateway, the preferred gateway for the trade between North America and Asia and the world. Port and rail infrastructure like this new road rail utility corridor play a key role in attracting investment and maintaining our competitive advantage, which supports job creation and economic growth. Now, partnerships are very important to our government, and this project is a prime example of the power that partnerships can provide. The growth of trade through the Pacific Gateway is rooted in the collaborative efforts of the Pacific Gateway Alliance, as represented here today by Canada, CN, and the Prince Rupert Port Authority. Our partnerships are working, and because of their leadership, the Port of Prince Rupert has much to celebrate today. I also want to congratulate the First Nations and the construction companies who formed joint ventures to build this corridor. Together, your efforts with the support of your community are contributing to a growing local economy, helping families right here in Prince Rupert and all around British Columbia. This is indeed an exciting time to live in Prince Rupert, and Port Edward, and British Columbia. Our government has focused on working with partners to keep our economy stable and growing. It's inspiring to see your community succeeding, attracting investment and creating prosperity and jobs to support your families. The Government of British Columbia will continue to work with our partners and with communities all across BC to build on this prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to represent the hardworking women and men of Kamloops in the BC Legislature, and it is my privilege to be here at this very exciting announcement event today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Stone. For our final speaker, please join me in welcoming Mr. David Miller, representing CN.
Thanks very much, Ken. It's good to be here on behalf of CN. I'm here with my colleague Norm Hart, who runs our operations in this part of the country, and he and his team are responsible for positioning these locomotives here today. I can't promise you that all the locomotives on the corridor are going to look quite as good as these, but I thought I maybe would check and see if the other side was as shiny as this side. But any event, CN's very, very pleased to be part of this important and far-sighted project. Don, you've proven yourself to be a true visionary once again. You were out selling the merits of the Port of Prince Rupert for a lot of years to governments and to the private sector when not a lot of people were paying attention. I know I was in some of those meetings, and there was always a little bit of eye rolling, and always some people who kind of wondered, well, you know, sort of where you were getting these crazy ideas from about some of your visions for this port. But the reality is, after a slow start for the past decade for you and for your team, it's really been one victory after another. With this road rail utility corridor, you've again shown great vision. The project opens up Ridley Island for development and sets the path for the Port of Prince Rupert to grow and prosper for many years into the future. We commend the Government of Canada, the Government of British Columbia, and Campotex for recognizing the importance and value of this project. I know for all of you, growing trade is at the very top of your agendas. There's no question that this project will enable the port to play a significant role in helping you achieve your objectives. This is a project that benefits not just this part of the province or just BC. It has real significance for all of Western Canada and beyond. CN is proud to have played a role in building this corridor. Our contribution of $30 million demonstrates our commitment to growing capacity for the benefit of our customers and the Canadian economy. In 2015, CN will invest $2.7 billion in capital spending to ensure that we can continue to serve our customers safely and efficiently. Over $208 million of that capital spending will take place here in British Columbia. The Port of Prince Rupert and the province of British Columbia are keys to CN's success. A third of our business originates in or passes through the province. We look forward to working with our supply chain partners, our customers, First Nations, and government to ensure this port continues to grow to the benefit of all. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Please join me one last time in thanking our platform party, not just for taking their time to be here today, but for all the contributions that each of their organizations have made to ensuring that this remarkable project has been completed. And on that note, it does bring us to the end of our formal program. But to commemorate our celebration today, we have arranged for our platform party to literally drive in the last spike of the RRUC's rail line. And then following that, for the media in attendance, a note that the platform party will be available for comment on a one-on-one basis. And for the remainder of our guests, while that's happening, I encourage you to help yourselves to refreshments. We'll be initiating boarding of the coaches likely around 3:15 p.m. or so. So on that, I would like to ask the platform party to make their way over to the designated area of the rail bed. And I'd also like to ask our audience to shift in that direction as well. And please listen to the photographer in getting yourselves into the right spots. Thank you very much.